Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the bald explorer, out on another walk. This time I'm in Ashurst and I'm by St James's Church, and it's a beautiful Sussex church with what looks like a shingle spire. But I'm here to meet John Eaton, who's lived in Ashurst pretty much all his life. I think. Yes. Hello, John.
Hello.
I think you were born in 1927.
I was,
said.
yes.
Wow,
yes.
That's a long time ago.
A long time ago it was, yes it was.
And over the years you must have seen very many changes.
Oh, absolutely. Starting off with when you were young, there was no main drainage, no electricity, no water, and hardly any cars. There was pony and traps and things like that. Yes, everybody had to cycle or walk.
Yes. And I suppose, you know, people were very healthy because they did do that.
Oh, yes, I think so. Yes, yeah. Although people are living longer now with the
yes,
everything.
It's a little bit easier for them.
It is, yes.
Especially in old age.
That's right, yes.
So we're up by the church St James's, and we're going to have a little stroll around there. But I'm very interested in some of the memories that you've got.
Oh, right, yes.
You told us a little bit before we started filming.
Right,
Shall we take a stroll down here a little bit?
Yes.
So, you were at the local butcher, is that right?
That's right, yes. We used to serve the local area, including the local villages, the surrounding villages we used to deliver to, yes.
Gosh. And back in those days, I know you were telling me just a few minutes ago before we filmed how localised the food was.
Oh yes.
And that, you know, within minutes you would dispatch.
Of course, in those days there were no supermarkets like there are now. There's just a little local village shop. My father had the butcher shop, and we were renowned for our sausages we used to make during the war. And of course there was a little village store which stocked everything from paraffin for the lamps and reels of cotton and ham and anything, you name it, they would stock it, including paper, and the post office, of course, as well. Everything was done in the little shop.
Yes. And the villages had to be self-sufficient, didn't they?
Oh, they did. They had
so many things going on.
They did. There was no main transport. Well, there was a railway line at Partridge Green, but I think that was just. It used to serve. It used to run between Horsham and Steyning. But that was disbanded in the 60s, I think it was.
Yes, one of Beeching's cuts.
That's right, yes, it was, yes.
Yeah, so as a young lad, you would have seen many professions in the village, which nowadays, if you live in a village, you wouldn't see so much.
Oh, no, yes.
Wheelwrights,
yes,
presumably.
Yes, there was the wheelwright there. He used to make wheels, cart wheels out of wood, and we used to see him do that. And there was a blacksmith shop next door, which he used to put the iron tire on it, or you call it a tire on to go on the road, and he used to make also do shoe horses and make gates and things like that. It was all very, very interesting.
Yes, absolutely. And I suppose when you were young, there was no idea that we were going to progress to where we are now with big supermarkets.
No. You thought that this is the life that we've got to live, or we do live, and we're all happy. And and people didn't used to travel far at all. There were no buses in those days.
No.
And so you had to either cycle or walk, or if you were lucky enough to have a car, which not many people in my early days had cars.
No, of course not. Yeah.
And then of course the local school. That used to have about 60 odd people up there, and in those days there were just 2 teachers.
Oh right.
Now there are more, but
yes,
to teach 60 some odd pupils, and I can remember in those days the seniors, they had a twin desk, used to sit side by side.
Oh right.
You weren't individual. You had 2 on a desk, and I can always remember the ink. Real ink. We had no fountain pens or biros in those days. You had to get your little pen with a nib on it and dip it in there, and occasionally you'd drop a blob of
ink.
But that was lovely to think back to how the days were simple, but and everybody was happy and friendly.
Yes. Oh, well, that's amazing.
Yes.
Now we're going to take a little stroll to the porch, because I know that you showed me a photograph.
Oh yes.
Where you were dressed up.
That's right.
As as a choir boy.
Choir boy.
So this is the porch here that we're coming to.
Yes.
And the local paper did a feature on you.
Yes. I happened to, at that time. I happened to be the only choir boy at the church. There were 3 or 4 or 5 girls, but at that precise time, there was only one boy. And the local paper, which used to be called the Southern Weekly News, I can remember.
Oh, right.
Which is similar to the Argus, which is local paper now. And they got to hear of it, and they came up and wanted to take a photo of me with my outfit on, and I was quite impressed, I suppose, pleased to do that. And after a week or so after this happened, the national papers got to hear of it.
Oh, did they?
And there were 4 reporters from the national papers came down from London and wanted to do the same. So I had a picture in not only the local papers but the national papers at the time. They must have wanted something to fill the paper up, I would think.
Yeah. So was it a rarity then to have boys in the choir, or was it?
Oh yes. But at the time, I suppose, I don't know, that perhaps the boys were at the wrong age or something like that, or didn't want to, something like that, and they. So I was left there like that.
Now, during the war,
yes,
because you were a young lad, about 10 when the war broke out?
Yes.
I
was 12.
12. So yes, so you, as a 12-year-old, I guess you had quite good memories of the wartime here.
It was wonderful memories, really, being a boy, because we were so. The local area was saturated with Canadian soldiers.
Yes.
And they used to park their tanks and lorries and motorbikes and guns in anybody's drive in all preparation to be
right
for the departure. And it was so interesting. And the soldiers were very friendly. They used to help us sit in them and lorries and that, and it couldn't anything worse. I mean, you're playing with real tanks and not toy tanks.
No, amazing. And you said that there was a battery, an ACAC gun.
Oh right? yes, not far from the church, only about 100 yards from the church where we're standing now, was stationed the local searchlight battery.
Yes.
And that had about 30 resident soldiers there, which were stationed there all through the war.
Gosh.
And the searchlight was active at different times, quite often at night, of course. When they could hear enemy planes coming, they would put the searchlight on, and then you would hear the rat-tat of the guns.
Oh, yes. Which must have been loud.
Yes, it was. I mean, things like that, although it's a terrible thought, war and things like that, but to a young boy...
Yes. The adventure of it.
It was the adventure of it. It was, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Well, we're standing by this beautiful church. Shall we go in? Because it's also threatening a little bit of rain.
Yes.
I'll let you lead the way.
Okay, yes.
And in we go. And this is a pretty old church, isn't it, St. James?
It is.
But it's a beautiful church. And I guess over the years, as a young boy in the village, I guess that you would have had to come to church.
Oh yes. As I was the choir boy, but my mother used to play the organ every Sunday, twice a day. Used to morning and
twice a day.
Twice a day. Yes.
Very important.
And I used to ring the bells when it was time for the church to go at times.
How many bells has St. James?
Three bells.
3 bells?
Yes.
And you rang all 3?
At times I did, yes.
At the same time?
Yes.
How did you manage that?
One in each arm and one on my foot. But I found that...
one on each arm, one on the foot.
Very tiring. So
yes, I'm not surprised.
I used to bring my youngest son, Christopher, who was about 12, I suppose, in those days, at the time when he got on from my young days.
Yeah.
And he used to pull 1 bell, and I used to pull 2, which was better. And also, of course, there were no electricity in the church at all. Everything had paraffin lamps for lighting and heating, and so the organ had to be pumped manually to make the organ sound. It had to have wind to make the organ go, so it had to be pumped. And there was this big lever that I used to have to sort of pump every time I was called, with a little warning bell sort of thing. Used to ring me when the organist wanted to.
And so you'd be manually pumping that.
Used to pump this big lever
as the congregation was sitting here.
And then you used to have to wait when the service, when the hymn, the sermon was.
Yes.
I had to wait and didn't have to fall asleep otherwise.
No,
he wouldn't have any air to pump the organ.
You said your grandparents are buried here, did you?
Yes, my grandparents and my parents.
Yes, and also somebody famous also had is he buried here?
Oh, Lawrence
Olivier.
Lawrence Olivier, yes.
And there was a big funeral.
Oh, a massive funeral. Yes,
lots of people came.
yes. The church was absolutely packed. Yes.
I guess that's one time when it was almost put on the map, as it were.
That's right. That's right. Yes, that's right.
Somebody so famous.
Yes.
But you must be. I mean, you're very sprightly for your age, if I may say so. You must have seen a lot of friends come and go.
Oh yes. Quite often it comes in your mind. You go to a certain place and you say, "Oh, so and so used to live here." I mean,
yes.
You can go back a long way, and you walk around the graveyard and you see one or two names that you knew that have passed away, sadly.
Yes, it's a shame, but. It sounds like you've had a great life anyway, and a privilege to be in a village.
Yes.
So much going on.
I think it's a lovely place. Sussex is always a lovely place, but this little village is really home to me. It has been for the last 90 years.
Yes, of course, absolutely. Well, it's been a joy to talk to you and learn some of your memories.
Yes. Well, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, John. Lovely to talk to you. So there we go. That's another little amble around and a fascinating person to talk to. Join me again when I do another such thing. Till then, goodbye.